Uh-oh, it says we're live.
There we are.
What's the deal? In my ear or something. Michael started this thing live before we were supposed to do it, and fortunately he didn't catch me doing something incriminating. He's like, "Oh yeah, I'm live." Oh, I better turn turn the volume off on that thing. But anyhow, folks, thanks. We're doing another episode of Elk Talk Live. I think we're at number 33 or 34, Michael. Can you believe that?
Yeah.
That's crazy. So here's our production crew tonight. We got Michael behind the camera over there, monitoring the YouTube channel. Over in Oregon, we have Matthew, who's managing and monitoring all of the Facebook channels. And I'm supposed to be here answering questions. But right now is application season. Besides, well, here in Bozeman, it's snow season. Today it snowed about 6 inches. But when I say application season, we're talking about Wyoming, elk, then we go into Arizona elk, and then the next elk application is Utah, Montana, Colorado, New Mexico. So we're going to cover these kind of as they become relevant. The last 2 weeks we've kind of talked about Wyoming in this idea of hunt elk every year. Because my goal, and the same as is the goal for Bowtech and Leupold and Go Hunt and Onyx, Ripcord, Tight Spot, Black Gold, all of us have one objective, that you hunt elk every year. That's the whole idea of what we've been working on in January. So Arizona today, I think it was today or yesterday, opened up their application for the winter draws, which are for elk and antelope. And then in June, you'll be able to use that same license to apply for deer, either whitetail deer or mule deer, and you can apply for bighorn sheep. So you got all kinds of stuff you can do. And in about, let's see, 2 weeks, we'll be down in Arizona getting all of the, I guess, value we can out of our non-resident license. We'll be hunting small game, rabbits, quail. We'll be hunting, Marcus has a javelina tag. I've got a deer tag. Cool stuff. So anyhow, I've answered some of the questions where people asked, what is the best state to start building points? And I answered it by saying, if all you're interested in is elk and nothing else, the best value for building points in the western states is Wyoming. But if you're interested in all the other species, the antelope, mule deer, whitetail deer, bighorn sheep, javelina, all the other stuff, I think Arizona is a better value because you can go there and hunt all these things, so many things over the counter, at least for archery, and then all the small game hunting. That's where I tell people, if you have a limited budget to build points, those are the two places to look. And in the long run, you're probably going, I think most people end up looking at Arizona as one of their top 2 states. So let's talk about Arizona. With the deadline now, I think the application period, the paper, if you're doing it by paper, you have to have it in by January 31st, if I remember right. And then I think if you're doing it online, you have to have it in by February 13th. And the good part about both Wyoming and Arizona is they let you know early. So in Wyoming, we find out February 22nd. I think Arizona, we find out March 22nd. So you already know your results in those 2 states before some of the other deadlines even get here. So remember, the strategy is try, as your budget allows, try to draw tags in some of these states that are harder to draw. And as the calendar goes along and you find out, oh, I didn't draw that, your fallback is going to be these states where you can get tags over the counter, mostly Idaho and Colorado. And depending on Montana, they get tags that are returned back that go on a first come, first served basis. So those are your two and a half, I guess, fallback states. Idaho, Colorado for sure, and to some degree Montana. So that's the whole strategy of how you hunt elk every year. So now I'm going to get into trying to answer a bunch of these questions. And when we answer them, a lot of them we're trying to, I guess, make sure we aren't duplicating questions that we've answered multiple times. We're trying to answer questions and select questions that are relevant to what we're talking about in the theme of this episode. So if we don't get to your question, we apologize, but we're keeping them all in a sheet here. And one of the questions last week that we didn't get to, someone asked, Randy, how do you justify the Arizona non-resident license fee to your wife? I tell her, well, if I invest in that non-resident license, I can also apply for all these other things. And I can go down in January and I can hunt quail and rabbits and javelina and deer. I can in September or August, no, let's see, September 1st is the start of dove season. Just last year I was down there dove hunting, or 2016 I was down there dove hunting. Last year I was down there quail hunting. There's all these things I can do. So I try to convince her that, you know, this is a really good deal, and I think it is. So let's see, where would be the best elk hunting area for elk during archery season? Boy, that's that depends on the state, the place, all kinds of things. The best general area to look is where the best feed is, and here's why. In peak rut, which is normally when archery season is going on, even in pre-rut, the cows are looking for the best food. Well, in those periods, wherever you find cows, the bulls are looking for cows. So find the cows, you find the bulls. So find the best feed in whatever unit you have. That's the area you want to focus on in the peak rut in archery season. So someone says that they bought a Leupold VX3 scope that did not come with CDS dials. Am I able to get CDS dials for my VX3? Yes, you can. Get a hold of Leupold. Go out to their website, leupold.com. I think the tab might be on their custom shop, or just call them and they'll put you in touch with the folks, but they can send and etch you dials for your VX3 scope, even if it didn't come with VX3 dials. Randy, you got any advice, budget advice for an Eastern college student try to hunt out west? Yeah, save your money. I know that's a smart aleck thing to say, but save your money. Try to figure out a couple friends that you can come out with. If you can split it among 3 or 4 hunters, you can do it remarkably inexpensive compared to what you probably figured it was. And then think about, what species do you want to hunt? What does your college calendar allow? You know, odds are you're not going to have much more than weekends, other than maybe over Thanksgiving break. Maybe you've got something over the Christmas break. Then you could go, like I was talking about Arizona. In December and January, a lot of their deer units are archery over the counter, and it's pretty inexpensive. So if I was a college student, that's what I'd be looking at. If I could get to Wyoming for antelope, that's a lower cost hunt. You can usually get it done in a shorter period of time. And if you and 3 or 4 other friends jump in a rig and you come out, there's a lot of ways you can save money on these trips. Don't stay in motels. Shorten up your time traveling. And what I mean by that is, don't drive for 10 hours and then sleep for 10 hours. Take turns rotating. Maybe drive 16, 18, 20 hours in a day. Just switch off so you aren't getting tired. That way you're not staying in motels. Pack your lunch before you go, all your meals before you go. Eat home-cooked meals. Don't eat on the road. When you get to camps, don't be eating big fancy meals in town. Eat camp meals. There's a lot of things you can do to reduce the cost, even for, you know, someone on a college budget, to come out and do these western hunts. If it was elk, that's going to be a little harder, because elk, you need a longer window of time. And I think that would be a tough one to pull off if I was a college student and I was trying to come out and do an elk hunt. Holy cow, we got this many questions already? No way, Matthew, we do have that many questions. Wow. Oh, man. Have I ever hunted the Frank Church River of No Return in Idaho? Because this person said that this September will be their second year there. Would the area of a 2017 burn be a good location to go and hunt in 2018? Yes, it would, in just about all instances. The times when it wouldn't be is if you have a burn in a really dry and arid spot and there's not been enough moisture over the last year to get that to regenerate. The odds are there are going to be elk in that burn in the year following in a place like the Frank Church. Now, the second year, you can just about bet that there's going to be even more forage there, and it's going to be like the Dairy Queen, man. Every elk in the valley, every elk on the mountain is like, I'm going to that burn, I'm getting me a blizzard. And that's why you see it. You watch our footage, look at how many times, for whether it's white-tailed deer, mule deer, or elk, that we are hunting burns. It's not science. It is why they are there. There's more nutrients, all of the activity of what a burn does. It puts the nutrients back into the soil. It disrupts the landscape. It allows the sun to get in there, and then the new vegetation grows. And you look at big green forests, and they might look pretty to the human eye, but to an elk, there's not much there to eat. All of a sudden, you get a burn, and that elk is like, wow, look at all those groceries, or that deer, whatever it is. So, Randy, for a guy not familiar with mountain vegetation, what does the best feed look like, and how do I identify it? I would say the best thing you can do is go and research, and Google's your friend, elk food. And you're going to think, well, what? Elk are grazers, right? They look for grass. Deer are more of browsers. They're looking for shrubs and forbs. So if you're looking for elk, for the most part, not always, but for the most part, they're going to be on the best grasses. And there's a whole multitude of grasses from the northern Rockies to Arizona, New Mexico, and they're different. So you have to figure out what state is it that you're hunting, what are the primary grasses that they're going to use in that state, and then you'll know what to look for when you see it out on the landscape. Because if I say, you know, gamma grass, you go do a quick search of that, you'll get all kinds of pictures of it. I say cliff rose, which is something they love to eat in Arizona and Nevada. You go look at that, tons of it. Mountain mahogany, they love to eat that in Utah and Nevada. Go and look, there'll be tons of pictures of it. So I'd go and do as much Google searching as you can. Let's see. Why do you recommend 100 ballistics of a 300 Win mag? The heavier slug only maintains higher energy and velocity out to 200 yards. If most shots of elk are beyond 200 yards, why do you prefer heavier bullets? Because one part of the equation is energy, right? Energy is a function of, it's not lineal. It's in the energy equation, speed is what gets, I think it gets squared in the kinetic energy equation. So speed is overrated. In the momentum equation, it's mass times velocity, nothing squared. Well, mass is your bullet. And if you think about this, I try to tell people, don't overthink energy too much. Because if you take something that's super, super light, that is just going like crazy, but it hits something and it instantly comes to a stop, it doesn't have much momentum. You think of something a little bit heavier that might not be going quite as fast, but it hits and it goes in. That's why energy is important, but it's not everything. And you talk to most people, the ballistic difference between a 160 and a 180 grain and a 30 caliber, your ballistic, in other words, your drop is not going to be much different, but the amount of penetration you're going to get, the mass of the bullet that is going through and making that wound channel, that little bit of increase of 15 grains in the bullet is worth whatever you give up and maybe the bullet. And then people will say, well, why don't you shoot a 400 grain bullet? No, experience tells me I would rather shoot a 180 than a 165 and a 30 caliber. That's why. Well, let's see. A lot of things about chronic wasting disease. I wish I had some answers to that. Why don't you hunt Utah? I do hunt Utah whenever they give me a tag. I had an elk tag there in 2014. That's out on our YouTube channel. I had a deer tag there that Marcus is, and when he's not here tonight, but he's over there, he's working on that. I had an archery mule deer tag there. The downside is Utah just is hard to draw tags. So like now that I've had an elk tag there, I think I'm on like a 5 or 10 year wait. So that's why. But Anyhow, folks, one thing I forgot to mention when we started this is that if you want to get notified when we're going to go live on this, text Randy, R-A-N-D-Y, to 77453. And the reason that you want to be on that notification list is I'm on the road next week and the following week. And we're not sure what day of those weeks we're going to be able to go live. We're going to have to see what the connections are when I get there. So we might miss a week altogether, or we might say, hey, we're going to do it on Tuesday night instead of Wednesday night. So anyhow, text Randy, R-A-N-D-Y, to 77453. Man, I cannot believe these questions. Can you explain the special versus regular out-of-state license in Wyoming? Yeah. So Wyoming, and we're doing a video on this. Michael, you just loaded that up to YouTube for my review today, didn't you? Yep. Yeah. So Wyoming splits their tags into what's called the special draw and the regular draw for non-residents. It's the same tag, but 60% of the tags go to the regular draw, which is lower priced, and 40% go to the expensive draw, which we call the special draw. It's just how Wyoming does it. And the reason you do one versus the other is if you do the regular draw, it's $500 and some less cost. If you do the special draw, you're going to pay $500 and some more, but you're going to get better draw odds. That's the only difference. Once you get the tag, if you draw the lower price regular tag, your tag is the same exact tag as the guy who paid $500 and some more. So that's how Wyoming does it. It's a 60-40 split, 60 to the regular, 40 to the special. And you'd have to ask Wyoming their logic for why they did it. I suspect it was probably to try to raise some revenue. So what do I think of Wyoming's tag price raises? You know what? It just is what it is. I don't like hunting being a function of how much money anyone has. But out-of-state hunting, unfortunately, is expensive. And normally state agencies will raise more revenue by increasing non-resident fees. Fortunately, we're all residents in one state, so we can hunt there usually for a very reasonable price. Once we decide we want to hunt in one of the other 49 states, the odds are we're going to start paying more. And some people will complain that, well, Wyoming, you know, they're going to price themselves out of business, blah, blah, blah. Probably not, because there's such demand for elk tags. Okay? I know that's not the answer some people probably want to hear, but it's just the reality of how it is. So I answered that one last week. Randy, have you ever thought about trying to get a tag in western Nebraska? I have thought about it. It never fits our calendar, though, and sometimes it's pretty hard to get access to hunting lands there. There is some. Nebraska, I think you guys call it Games and Parks or something like that. They've actually got a hold of me and said, hey, would you come down here and turkey hunt? We have over 1 million acres of land we as the Game and Fish Commission manage. So maybe I'll go down there turkey hunting this spring. That'd be a great thing to do. What's my next hunt? My next hunt is archery coos deer, Arizona. Right here's the weapon. That is what we're going down there with. Marcus we got him a brand new round from Bowtech, so he's going to be down there with his. I'm going to be down there with mine. That's what we're going to do. Have I ever hunted over-the-counter in southern Colorado? I've hunted over-the-counter elk many times in Colorado, but only on the west slope. I hunt more on the west and northwest side. I've never hunted the southern part. Let's see. Randy, I'm from Colorado, and I'd love to hunt one of those prized elk units in the northwest corner. 2, 201, Unit 1, Unit 10. But I also want to hunt elk every year. How do I build points but hunt every year too? It's easy. Apply in those units every year. You're never going to get it until you get enough points. I don't know what it takes for a resident. For a non-resident, it takes 24, 25 points. For a resident, probably less. So just keep applying. When you don't draw, go buy your over-the-counter elk tag in Colorado. So you apply in the draw, you don't get your tag, you get another point. Okay, all's good. Go down to the sporting goods store or your Colorado Parks and Wildlife office and buy your elk tag over the counter. Yeah, you can't go hunt those units because you got to draw that limited part, but you get to hunt the 90 some other units that are over the counter units. So Oh, better investment, spotting scope or binoculars? That's a good question. You know, I usually tell people, if you don't have either binoculars or a spotting scope, go and get binoculars as your first piece of optics. Then get a spotting scope. And in the field, how I use them, I'm primarily using my binoculars to locate something that's like, is that an antler? Is that a leg? Grab the spotter. And you guys have seen me, for elk hunting, when I'm backpack hunting, I have the Leupold Gold Ring 60 millimeter spotter. It's compact, it's lightweight, works great. So, one thing I forgot to say, with all of this how to hunt elk every year thing, we're doing this series of videos. It's the Wyoming one that Michael finished today that we're trying to get up this week about Wyoming. We're doing that in partnership with Go Hunt. And when you see this Wyoming video, you're going to realize that this Go Hunt application strategy stuff they have on their insider service answers so many of these questions that we don't get a chance to get to. And if you sign up and you use promo code RANDY, R-A-N-D-Y, they're going to give you $50 of free credit in their gear shop. So, forgot to mention that. Am I going to do any more trapping videos? I don't know what my calendar is going to allow it. I want to. I got landowners asking me, hey, come get rid of these muskrats and these beaver, but I just, right now, it doesn't look like I'm going to. What type of weather can I expect in October in Wyoming? You can expect anything from 80 above to 0 degrees in October in Wyoming. If you go to our YouTube channel, you'll see just in September of 17, on September 20th, I think it was, no, the day before, the 19th, we were in Wyoming in the Wind River Range and we got a foot of snow. And it got down in the teens. Yeah, in September. So in October, anything's a guess. Be prepared is, I guess, what I would say. Let's see. Randy, what advice would you give for hunting elk in areas like northern Idaho that are really thick and are hard to glass long distances? That's always a challenge. That's why I say if people are consistently killing elk in places like northwest Montana and northern Idaho, that is steep, ugly, nasty, thick country. It's some of the toughest ground just on the body that you're ever going to find. And most of the people I know who are successful in those areas, they find places where they're overlooking a couple trails, they're overlooking maybe a little clear cut, a little burn, a little avalanche slide. They are sitting in places where they can still do a lot of watching. A lot of the guys who are really successful in, I'm assuming you're talking rifle season, because if you're talking archery season when they're bugling, you'd hunt it like anywhere else, chase the bugles. But I know a lot of people, when they're hunting there, they wait for snow. And they will actually just start lining out somewhere where they know out crossing. When they find a fresh track, they get on that track and they go. So it's tough hunting. Anyone who can do that consistently, my hat's off to them. Let's see. Randy, have you been able to apply online in Arizona? When I go to the link, it tells me the application is closed. No, they opened it today. I believe today was when they opened it. So go try it again. Start hacking on me. I don't want to get my hopes up because I watched the Vikings lose 4 Super Bowls. And I remember crying through every one of them when I was a young child. I don't, I'm not going to get that wound up about it. But Michael, you got anything over there on the YouTube channel?
Yeah, what color headlamp won't spook elk sneaking in the dark?
What color of headlamps do we use? I've got this question a lot in the last week because last week we put out a series of YouTube videos about hunting in New Mexico. Tracy Pettit was with us. We went to New Mexico. I think it's a 5-day series out on our YouTube channel. And everyone saw that I was wearing a green light headlamp. Those of you who know ungulates about the rods and cones in their eyes, they can't see green or red. So if you have a green light or a red light, you can walk in the dark. It's still going to give enough light that you can see. And from a safety standpoint, if it's low light and it's legal shooting hour, but it's still pretty dark, I leave my light on. Well, if I had a white light, animals could see that, and I'd be out there walking around right at that prime hunting light. If I have a green light, sometimes you'll see my green light on my lamp my headlamp is still on 10, 15 minutes into the hunt. It's just a safety thing. So the colors you got to get are either green or red. And pretty much all of the headlamps made for hunters have a green or red. Some have both. So let's see, what else you got, Michael?
Should you spend the same amount you did on a rifle on a scope?
Should you spend the same amount on your scope as you did on your rifle? Yes, you should. In fact, I think I might even go overboard with that. I look at, gosh, for the last 30 years even, I bet you my scopes, I probably paid as much or more for my scopes than I did for my rifles. But, you know, that's because I want something that's quality. I want something that's going to last. It's got to perform. So the answer to that is, yeah, I would spend as much. So, let's see, I've answered that one many times before. You got any more, Michael?
Do you like moose or elk meat more?
Do I like moose or elk meat more? It's funny. They must have heard us talking, eh, Michael? Before we turned the camera on, I told Michael, I'm like, man, I just ate some of that moose meat from the moose that Matthew shot this year. Oh, man. And what I've been doing? I got a grill. I don't know. It's this big. And I take out a whole bunch of it, and I make a bunch of burgers at one time, and I'll eat 2 of them the night I grill them. And then the rest of them, I put them in baggies. And every day for lunch, I'm having moose burgers. It's going to take a lot of work to eat a whole moose. Fortunately, I shared some with Michael and Marcus and some other friends, but I would say I enjoy the moose better than elk. It's so mild, has a great texture to it. And I love elk too, but this moose is spectacular. So, let's see. Man, there's a lot of them here. If you're only doing one hunt this next year and you are certain it will be in Colorado, would you look at going in the first season with the limited number of tags, so you'd have to draw in the first season, or would you look into the later second or third season and go second or third over-the-counter seasons because you get a longer hunt? Me, I've now built up another point in Colorado. There's some units I could draw that first season. I'm going third season. I just like that there are fewer people in the third season. You get a longer period of time. It's in November. You got a chance of weather. That's just my personal preference. Now, I know some people who like to go the first season because you have to draw. In just about all of the first season hunts, I think, that I'm aware of in Colorado, you have to draw. And they hope that they can run into a little bit of bugling. They know they're probably going to have slightly fewer people in the woods. Second season is chaotic with the amount of people in the woods in Colorado, and I don't go there. My brother, he loves the second season, and that's what he hunts, and last year they shot a bull there opening day. So let's see. When you go into a decent elk unit, would you say that you see some elk every day? I'd say if you averaged it out, yeah, we see elk every day, but by that, I say averaged it out. There are times we will go 2 or 3 days and not see an elk, and it's like, damn, what are we doing wrong here? Then all of a sudden we'll change it up slightly. The next day we'll be covered up in elk. So you just never know. You need to stick with it, and don't give up, because as much as you might see people on TV and it looks like every day they're seeing elk, and maybe they're hunting on private land and the elk never get pressured, that's a completely different elk than what we're hunting on public land. Or it's been edited such that it looks like there's elk everywhere. Well, don't necessarily go by what you see on TV. Randy, are elk points separate from deer points in most states? Yes. When you accumulate points in each of these states, you accumulate them by species. So it's elk points or deer points or antelope points or sheep points or whatever. Hey, somebody here says we're watching season 3, episode 2 on Amazon. Thanks. I don't know how many of you caught this last week or caught it out on our other stuff, but all of our content is now available on Amazon. So if you're an Amazon Prime member, you get it for free. And once it's on Amazon, we're moving it over to YouTube after about 2 or 3 weeks. And Matthew sent me a text this afternoon that 3 more episodes of season 3 from Fresh Tracks just went live today on Amazon. So a lot of people have been asking, hey, when's the next step? Oh, in fact, here's a question right here. When's the next episode of Fresh Tracks coming out on Amazon? It's there right now. So thanks everyone for doing that, because Amazon is really doing well for us, and we're thankful that everybody is going to do it. Randy, is it worth applying in the lower 48 all your life for moose, or just heading to Alaska for moose when you've saved up enough? Well, it depends on if you want to hunt Shiras moose that we have in the lower 48, or do you want to hunt those big Alaska Yukon moose they have in Alaska. In Alaska, it's going to be really expensive, not just to get there and to hunt, but in most units in Alaska, it's not like you can drive your rig up there, go park at a trailhead, and go. The densities of animals in Alaska are really, really, really low. So that's why you see people use boats, use not helicopters. You can't use helicopters in Alaska, but airplanes. And all of that adds a lot of money. And then you get to Alaska, you get this big moose, and you got 800 pounds of meat and these big antlers. You got to get it home to the States. It's really expensive. So don't think that you have to apply all your life in the lower 48. I'm going to tell you one place where your odds are pretty good, and that's Idaho. Idaho does, they do something different than all the other states. In Idaho, you can only apply, if you apply for moose, you can't apply for any other species. If you apply for sheep, you can't apply for any other species. If you apply for mountain goat, you can't apply for any other species. So that results in some really good draw odds in Idaho, even for non-residents. And a non-resident Idaho moose tag is way less expensive than what you're going to pay to go to Alaska. The downside is you're hunting Shiras moose, which are smaller. They're not going to be these great big 65-inch things that sometimes they shoot up in Alaska. So, oh gosh, you got anything over there, Michael?
Any tips on finding feeding areas by satellite imagery?
Any tips on finding feeding areas with satellite imagery? Yes, go to Onyx Maps. They have a layer that's called the historic fire layer. So if you subscribe to Onyx Maps and use their Hunt app, you're going to click that layer, and it's going to show you the fires, all the fires going back, I think, to 2000. It's going to show a polygon of where it was, how many acres, what year it was. Those are primary feed areas in the West. And you will be surprised if you turn that layer on. There are very few places that you would go hunting that don't have some range of big, from a really big burn to a smaller burn. So those are the areas that are going to be your primary food sources. And if you decide to go to Onyx and you use the promo code Randy, you know how simple we make that? Randy. Everything's Randy. They're going to give you 20% off their app products. So how hard is it to draw a billy goat tag? It's really, really hard. There's not a single state in the West where it's easy to draw a mountain goat tag. What type of watch do you wear in all of your hunts? Do you have a preference on one while hunting? I have this one. It's a Sunto. I think this is called the Traverse, if I remember right. It's got an altimeter, it's got a GPS, it's got time, date, got a light, got barometric pressure. It's got all kinds of stuff. They sent it to me, asked me to use it, and give me their thoughts. I used it. I said, you know what? I love it. I'm going to keep it. That okay? Maybe they're going to send the authorities to come and get their watch back. But a lot of people see me wearing this now, and they've been asking about it. What is my opinion on a 7mm Winchester? It'd be a 7mm Remington mag is what the 7mm is for elk. The 7mm is a wonderful elk cartridge. The number of elk that have been stacked up with a 7mm, crazy. So if you have one of those, you just go get some high quality bullets. You hear me say it all the time. For me, a high quality bullet for elk is a Nosler Partition or a Nosler Accubon, Nosler E-tip. Those are the 3 bullets that I go to when I'm elk hunting. So, oh, let's see. I don't know that one. I think there's a spelling error there. You got to be careful if there's a spelling error. I'll answer the wrong question. Does the rifle season in Wyoming coincide with the late rut? Yes, in a lot of the units in Wyoming, especially the backcountry units, they start September 20th or October 1st. Well, the elk are still bugling into September 5th, 6th, 7th, somewhere in there. So, yeah, a lot of those units that you would be hunting elk in Wyoming, the backcountry units anyhow, you're going to have some rutting activity that's going on. You got anything, Michael?
Yeah, what's the biggest challenge of hunting with the camera crew?
What's the biggest challenge of hunting with a camera crew? Michael's over there, he's got a big smile like, come on, tell the truth. The biggest challenge is when you're hunting by yourself. So let's say it's me, Michael, and Marcus. If you were hunting by yourself, you've got 1/3 the noise, 1/3 the movement, 1/3 the scent and activity. The other part is you don't odds, so nothing happens quick. And so a lot of people say, Randy, I see you've got your rifle strapped to your pack. What are you going to do if you see one in a hurry? Well, I can assure you that in just about every instance, I can get my pack off, get that rifle off my pack, get it loaded before these guys can get their tripod set up with the camera on top of it and get our 8 to 10 seconds of pre-shot focus. So it's a lot of complication. I like how you picked that question, Michael. Let's see. We are, oh gosh, all kinds of stuff here. Did someone say we lost the stream?
I don't know. Mine says, it says that it's live.
It says we're good? Okay.
And on YouTube, you're live.
We're live? Okay. In archery season, is it smarter to backpack your camp into the middle of your hunt area or camp away and walk in daily? I'm one of those guys who will stay back and I'll walk in daily. I don't want to go in there and stink up the soup, man. I've worked hard to figure out where these elk are going to be. The last thing I want to do is go and park right in the middle of them. They're going to be gone. So we're doing good here.
It's working on YouTube.
Yeah, I think we're good. But anyhow, I want to make sure that everybody knows, and if you get a chance, you thank these companies that make this possible. They want to see us help people draw more tags, hunt more, and hopefully have better success in the field. So they just say, Randy, go out there and do this. And these companies are Bowtech, Loophole, Onyx Maps, Tight Spot Quivers, Ripcord Arrow Rest, Black Gold Sights, and GoHunt.com. They're such great companies, and I'm thankful that they let us do this every Wednesday night. And again, if you want to be notified, text Randy to 77453, and I hope you'll share this with some of your friends. And I think we lost Facebook.
Yeah, Facebook's gone, but YouTube's up.
Facebook is such a flaky operation. What the?
Live streams is still good.
Okay, so we're still good on all our YouTube channels, and we're still good on all of our live stream feeds. All right, man. I don't know what it is with Facebook. I don't know. I heard that Mark Zuckerberg was a hunter. What's the deal, man? He out there pulling the plug on us over at Facebook, or what's the deal? I don't know. All right. Do I like rifle or archery more? Yes. I like whatever tag I have in my pocket. And then someone also asked, you hunt archery and rifle, why not muzzleloader? Nothing against muzzleloader hunting. I've done it in the past, and it's a ton of fun. It's just the way our calendar falls and the schedules fall. We get serious about archery in September, and then instantly we jump into rifle tags. So it's just kind of the way it works. Let's see. What do you got on, since Facebook crashed, I can't get much here, Michael. I'm going to have to rely on you for the YouTube feeds.
All right. How does Montana's bonus point system work, and how does applying as a party affect your chances of drawing?
So, how does Montana bonus point system work? Well, you want to think about Montana. We have a preference point for some things and a bonus point for others. Montana has It's like we decided, how complicated can we make this for you non-residents? So it's just really complicated. I don't have time to answer it all here. We're going to do it. We're going to do a YouTube video about how the Montana draw system works. Let's wait until then and go from there. What was the second part of the question, though?
And then how does applying as a party affect your chances of
Oh, yeah. If you apply as a party, how does it affect your chances of drawing? It doesn't. Everybody in the party gets lumped into one ball, and you get one random number assigned you. So if there's 4 of you, it's not like you get 4 random numbers. Your party is considered one applicant. When you draw, you all draw. Or if you don't draw, none of you draw. It's an all or none thing when you do a party app. And that applies in every state, not just Montana. So do you guys do your own European mounts yourselves? Marcus did this one. Let's see. I did that one. My buddy Mike Duncan did that one. Yeah, when we have time, we try to do them all ourselves. We did a YouTube video, and it's about doing your own Euro mounts. When we were in Nevada, me, Mike Spitzer, and Matthew, Marcus was filming, we shot 3 mule deer bucks. Well, because of chronic wasting disease concerns, you can't carry these skulls with brain matter or spinal tissue across state lines. So we boiled the skulls right there, and we did a whole YouTube video about this out on our YouTube channel. And then when we got home, we finalized it and tuned them up a bit. But we do a lot of them. It's kind of fun, you know, and it takes a little bit of experimenting, but it's good. It's really good when you can do it. Do you pack your drinking water or do you filter it in the field? I usually pack it. But we're getting ready to use these new things from Catadine. What is it called, Michael? Gosh.
I'll have to look it up.
Yeah, Catadine we use Catadine water filters, and they just sent us these things. It's like a water bladder that has a built-in filter. We got to get using those. It's I think it would be cool to show people how they work and
Called Be Free.
Be Free, yeah. Like BE Free,
yeah.
World Be Free. There used to be a basketball player called World Be Free. I bet you didn't know that, huh? You had to have watched the Philadelphia 76ers in the 1970s to know that. I'm aging myself here. Boy, these questions go by so fast. How do you read these questions on YouTube when they go by that fast?
I just copy and paste them.
Oh, copy and paste. All right. What portable chargers do you use to charge your electronics? We don't use any portables, do we? We just pack a whole gunny sack full of batteries with us.
Yeah.
Battery management is a big deal for us. I don't know if I have a battery handy here, but these lithium-ion batteries. Can you throw me one of those batteries, Michael? So we can show people. This is, a big camera battery. I can't see the got light, so look how big that battery is. You need some serious power to charge that. This little thing, not a problem. So we just end up carrying extra batteries. We've yet to find a backpack solar charging system that can put out the juice required to charge those kind of big lithium-ion batteries. So let's see. Holy cow. What magnification do I look for in a scope? So in the Leupold Gold Ring series of scopes, you'll have a VX3, and I talked about this a couple weeks ago, where the VX-3 means the range of power is a variable of 3. So the lowest setting is 3, multiply that by 3, it's 9. So a VX3, it's 3 to 9. A VX5, if the lowest power is 3, it's 3 to 15. A VX6, if the lowest power is 3, it's 3 to 18. And so what is the lowest that I would use? I'm happy with the 3 to 9. It's going to work way better than I can. This year, most of what I used was a VX5 in a 3 to 15. On one of my rifles, I have a VX6 that's a 2 to 12. I love them all. Yeah. Randy, I want to see that one because I get so many questions about people thinking a 270 isn't good enough for elk. Would you use a 270 with Nosler Accubon or a 30-06 with 180 grain for elk. If I'm given the choice and I'm elk hunting between a 270 and a 30-06, I'm going to use a 30-06. I'm going to use 165 or 180 grain in the 30-06. In the 270, I'm going to use 150 grain. And on every one of those, it's either going to be Nosler partitions or Nosler AccuBonds. So, Randy, do you ever hunt cow elk? Do I ever? Oh, yeah, I've tried many times. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it just, I lose interest or I get busy or whatever. I have 2 cow elk tags in my pocket right now where I could go elk hunting. But I have a freezer with a moose that Matthew shot. I shot 2 antelope this year, a whitetail buck, and it's just me and my wife. So my thought is, you know, I got these 2 cow elk tags. Those cows have been hunted hard since archery season, rifle season. They've been chased by mountain lions and wolves and grizzly bears. I'm going to give them a rest. So, but if you want to go cow elk hunting, I'd say go for it. Don't let anybody kid you that cow elk hunting is some sort of consolation thing. Nah, go do it. It's fun. You're going to learn a lot about elk. You're going to get some great meat out of it. You're going to have a good time. So, Randy, have you ever had a 270 Winchester short mag? Yeah, I have. And it's interesting because of all the short mags, you got the 7mm short mag, the 270 short mag, the 300 Win short mag, there's a few others. Of all of them, when you compare the regular 270 Win to the 270 Winchester short mag, the 270 is the one that has the greatest jump up, the greatest increase in ballistics compared to the others when you compare the short mag to the regular one side by side. But for some reason, the 270 short mag never really caught on the way I thought it would. But, oh well. Oh, you got anything more, Michael? I think we're going to get ready to call it quits here pretty soon here.
Yeah, how does your strategy change when it's snowing, your elk hunting strategy?
How does my elk hunting strategy change when it's snowing? First of all, I get a really big smile on my face because I know that the odds of killing an elk just went way up. My strategy when it's snowing, I start hunting, and when it's snowing, usually that's going to be in a post-rut or late season period. I know elk are looking for sanctuaries, the bull elk on public land I'm looking for, and now when I start getting snow, I know that they're not going to be as close to the summer range as they were before the snow. They're going to start moving to sanctuaries that are closer to the winter range. So my strategy changes there, and then it also changes in that I sit and I glass even more. Because I can read tracks across a hillside with my spotting scope, and it will tell me something. Were they just lined out going through? Well, those elk are heading out. If they're meandering, just kind of weaving in and out of maybe some small areas, some brush, those elk are feeding and they're somewhere nearby. If it's a big group in this tracks in the snow of 50, 60 animals, those are cows, young bulls. I'm not looking for those. If it's just 3 or 4, that's probably a bachelor group of bulls. So how I can hunt and what I can interpret once I get snow is like the best thing that can happen to an elk hunter. So anyhow, folks, we've run past our limit by 20 minutes. I appreciate all of you watching, and we'll shoot a text to everybody. I don't know what day we're going to go next week because I'm on the road next week. We're going to try our best to get a connection where we can do it. Thanks for watching. Appreciate it. We good? You posting it? Uh-oh. I don't like that.
Yeah, the screen's doing something weird.
Huh? Are we still live?